As one of the world's oldest ongoing civilizations, it's no surprise that China's historical record contains many interesting UFO sightings dating back more than 1,000 years, with much of these having been recorded through stories, poetry, theater, and paintings. China also runs the largest UFO organization in the world, boasting a membership of more than 40,000 scientists and engineers. Now, with China moving further into their own modern age, we see contemporary Chinese taking more of an interest in the phenomena. A fascinating early UFO experience was recorded during the Ming Dynasty. The book From the Record, UFO Sightings in the Ancient Chinese History Books, written by Taiwan researcher Kai-Chi Chang, contains a catalog of over 700 UFO incidents recorded in China between 139 BC and 1918 AD. Case number 487 took place during the Ming Dynasty in July 24, 1562. At dusk, an object dropping down from the northwestern sky of Dinghai County, Zhejiang Province. In the beginning, it looked like an oval-shaped measuring container which had a pointed top, a yellow and white thicker bottom, and a maroon bracket holding it up. As it came down amidst blazing fire, it quickly grew to dough size, then boulder size, then as large as many large jugs put together. The object was glowing extremely bright, which was illuminating the area bright enough that people could see tiny hairs. As it was about to crash, it suddenly jumped up in the air, then went up and down several times, and its shadows danced with it. Eyewitnesses from many provinces reported that they all have seen the same thing. Su Dongpo, also known as Su Shi, a well-known poet of the Song Dynasty, had a sighting one night in the 1050s as he toured the Jinsha Temple. He watched in the darkness as the Yangtze River lit up. This inspired him to record his experience with a poem. He wrote, "At this time the moon debuts on the river. On the second watch the sky darkens accompanied by the moonlight. The middle of the river appears as if engulfed in torch flames. It inflames and shines upon the mountains, startling birds at rest. How disappointed I am, I cannot think what it might be. Not ghost nor human, what sort of thing is it?" In 1892, hundreds of people near Nanjing's Confucius Temple observed a fireball radiating red light in all directions in the sky. The painter Wu Yu Ru was among those witnesses in the crowd. He then painted the scene, naming it Red Flame Takeoff. In the painting, he describes the object as an egg-shaped fireball with red light. It floated eastward in the sky for a period of a mill's time and faded into the distance. A prominent name in modern Chinese ufology is Sun Shi Li. He began his career as a government Spanish interpreter and translator, eventually becoming one of Chairman Mao's interpreters. In the late 1970s, Shi Li was working for the magazine China Reconstructs when he received a book by the Spanish author Andreas Faber-Kaiser titled Priests or Astronauts. The book was about paleo contact and UFOs, and it greatly interested him, so he translated the book from Spanish to Chinese. With this, he became one of China's first UFO experts. He began giving informal lectures at Beijing University and the Beijing Astronomical Association. In the early 1980s, a group of scientists and engineers created the China UFO Research Organization, or CURO, and appointed Shi Li as the organization's president. CURO set stringent membership guidelines, limiting the membership to those that have a degree in science or engineering. Even with those requirements, CURO is the world's largest UFO organization in the world, with over 40,000 members and its own publication, the Journal of UFO Research. A major event that became a turning point for UFO research in China was a mass sighting that took place in 1979 over the capital city of Beijing in mid-afternoon. Two airplane-sized metallic discs descended and made low passes back and forth over the center of the city while tens of thousands of witnesses watched on. The next day, the official newspaper of the Communist Party of China, the People's Daily, published a brief story of the sighting. A number of letters to the editor were received and printed. What followed was a flood of letters from other eyewitnesses of this event, plus accounts of other sightings. Professor Sun-Chi Lee requested to see the letters from the newspaper. People's Daily responded by giving them the entire collection. Using this information, along with data already collected, Sun-Chi Lee and his colleagues compiled a full report on Chinese UFO sightings and presented it to the Minister of the Interior. The minister was impressed with their findings and offered to have the Chinese government publish their work. 300,000 copies were printed and sold out within 3 weeks. Another 500,000 was published and sold out in a short amount of time. The Minister of the Interior continued to allow the publication to be printed, along with the creation of new journals. The printing of these journals demonstrated the public's interest in UFOs, helping launch contemporary UFO research, and helped UFOs become a serious topic in China, which it remains to this day. The language and political barriers between China and the West made it difficult for Westerners to gain much insight into Chinese UFO research. However, in the 1980s, UFO researcher and author Wendell Stevens began working with the editor of the Chinese Journal of UFO Research, Paul Dong. Dong was able to obtain the assistance of the Foreign Language Bureau of Peking to translate some of their best UFO cases into English. They then allowed Stevens to publish the book in the US. The book was titled UFOs Over Modern China and published in 1983. Copies of the book are now hard to come by, but Open Minds inherited Stevens' archives, which fortunately included a few copies. A popular modern-day mass UFO sighting took place on July 7, 2010. Around 8:30 p.m., the crew and passengers of a flight preparing to land at Zhoushan Airport witnessed a strange light. This sighting prompted officials to close the airport and divert traffic for an hour. Local news reported on the sighting, and additional witnesses came forward. The sighting made international headlines, and although officials in China said they would release more information after an official investigation, no further information about the shutdown was ever provided. Since the incident in Zhoushan, other incidents of UFO sightings causing airports to shut down have occurred. China continues to be a hotspot for UFO sightings and a place where scientists take the topic seriously. Planetary astronomer Wang Sichao of the Chinese Academy of Sciences Purple Mountain Observatory predicted in 2010 that credible UFO sightings in China would become more frequent, and they certainly have. With news being more global and the ease at which international UFO stories can go viral via social media, Chinese UFO sightings continue to make worldwide headlines. For your Need to Know, I'm Alejandro Rojas.